instrucción que el Estado también el distrito ya tiene en póliza.
En esta ocasión ustedes lo intervinieron en la escuela Sara.
Nosotros estuvimos y seguimos apoyando a no solamente los maestros y estudiantes, pero también acusar del distrito, acusar de la ciudad y de este estado del país.
¿Algo más que quieran agregar?
No más que nuestras escuelas son lugares donde hay educación, hay niveles para tener conversaciones, entonces nosotros queremos siempre proteger a nuestros estudiantes y tener parte de una conversación donde todos aprendemos y todos beneficiamos.
Bueno, por último, dispuestos ustedes entonces a intervenir. Si algunos padres dicen, yo no quiero que mi hijo sepa nada de esto.
Nosotros no vamos a ponernos en frente de los derechos de los padres, pero sí siempre vamos a defender las diferencias de las Gloria Martínez, y soy la vicepresidenta There's a resolution that is going to be affirming what is Pride Month and also affirming the differences amongst the community.
So you're supporting that. Now, what do you tell the parents that we saw in Santa Fe? Anything you can do for the be influenced anyway?
Yeah, well, I encourage parents to always be active participants in their child's education, but also know that part of learning is challenging each other, right? Challenging each other's beliefs, but also being able to see different aspects. And that's what exactly what we think needs to happen in order for us to
I can lower it. That's fine. I can
be
lower
more
it.
tolerant, to be more welcoming for all. Not
Mr.
just one particular
before.
type of person, but for everyone. Los Angeles prides itself in sanctuary cities, and we pride ourselves in the schools of Los Angeles. Well, I think it's important for us to remember that this
There's a lot of people on camera.
Ignore everything I just said. We're going to finish reporting out from closed session, then we'll start over again.
All 7 board members were present in closed session, and I'm going to take roll now and then read out the reportable items. Dr. McKenna. Dr. Rivas. Say again, Dr. Rivas, we didn't quite hear you.
Here, present.
Thank you very much. Mr. Schmerlson. Present. Mr. Melvoin. Ms. Gonez.
Here.
Ms. Ortiz-Franklin.
Present.
Board President Goldberg.
Here.
Okay, we have quorum. I'm going to go ahead and read out the reportable items from the closed session. Under tab 1, employee discipline, dismissal, release, the Board of Education authorized the dismissal of 7 classified employees and the initiation of dismissal of 1 certificated employee. The vote was 7 ayes. Tab 2, conference with legal counsel. The Board of Education authorized the settlement of Jane Doe v. LAUSD and Chris Miller, case number 21-STC-V09823. Terms and conditions will be available upon the finalization of the agreement. The Board of Education authorized the settlement of Jane Doe v. LAUSD and Brett Schufelt, LASC case number 21-STC-V05398. Terms and conditions will be available upon the finalization of the agreement. And And the Board of Education authorized the settlement of Jane Doe v. LAUSD and Barry Smolin, LASC case number 21STC V15878. Terms and conditions will be available upon the finalization of the agreement. The vote with 7 ayes. And as a reminder to those watching, these case numbers that I have just read out very quickly are also available on our website for your review if you want to do that. Tab 3, under Conference with Labor Negotiators, the Board of Education appointed the following individuals to the following certificated and senior management positions with a start date of July 1, 2023. Moments will come back for the scheduled 1 p.m. meeting as we get the other Zoom started. Thanks, everybody.
While we're waiting for the tape to change, that's what happens. We have different tape. We're waiting for tape to change. I just want to say that Dr. Rosia Rivas will not be at the board meeting today due to serious illness. So I just
Please stand, put your right hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación ante Dios indivisible con libertad y justicia para todos.
Roll. Dr. McKenna. Here. Dr. Rivas. Mr. Schmorlson.
Present.
Mr. Melvoin. Here. Ms. Gomez. Ms. Ortiz Franklin.
Present.
Board President Goldberg.
here.
Student Member Shin.
Here. All right. Today's Pledge of Allegiance is brought to us by the students of Adelaide Elias and Joseph Heredia from Parmalee Elementary School under the leadership of Principal Lisa Saldivar from Board District 7. Will you all rise and join us? Tuesday, we'll welcome you all and come join us. This is Pride Month in June, and I want to say Happy Pride Month. And I was just a few days ago, I found out about a book I had never seen. You know, I have a son who graduated from LA Unified. I have a great nephew, two great nieces who have now graduated from LA Unified. Well, we still got 5 more great nieces and nephews in LA Unified schools. So it's very important to me as their great aunt or their grandmother. Oh, I have 2 grandchildren in our LAUSD schools. I left them out, oh my God. So it's very important to me that we make everyone, all our kids, feel safe and well regarded. And I was at a school the other day and they had a book called The Big Book of Families that I had never seen before. So I thought I'd share just some of it with you today. In honor of Pride Month, but also in honor of loving family. Once upon a time, most families in books looked like this: one daddy, one mommy, one little boy, one little girl, one dog, and one cat. But in real life, families come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. In this book, there are lots of families living in different ways. Perhaps there's one that looks like you, and they have a nice... their mommy. Some live with their grandma and grandpa. Some children have 2 mommies and 2 daddies. And some are adopted or live with foster families. Who's in your family? Some people have lots of brothers and sisters, and uncles and aunties, and cousins, and grandmas and grandpas, and even great-grandmas and great-grandpas. But some people have really small families. You can be a family with just 2 people. The next section in the book is called Homes. People live in all sorts of homes. Some families live in big houses, and some big families live in tiny apartments, and some people can't find anywhere to live. Most children, next section is school. Most children go to school, but some are homeschooled. And some just won't go to school. But I've been to school already. I went yesterday, she said. Others are too young to go to school. Jobs. In some families, everyone has a job. In others, only one person goes to work. Some parents work from home, and some can't get a job at all. Some families go on exotic vacations and some stay closer to home. Some visit families in other countries and you don't need to pack everything, and others go on day trips. Not all families can afford a vacation, but most people get some time off from work. Even a weekend at home can be a little vacation. Food. Some moms or dads are great cooks, others prefer to buy ready-made meals. Most families get their meals from shops or markets, but some grow on their own. Others clothes from thrift stores. Some families dress up for special occasions, but some like to wear jeans all the time. And some dress any way they please. Their pets are members of the family, that would be us. Some pets think they're very important members of the families, that would be my cat. Some people even look like their pets. Some families can't have pets, but it doesn't stop them from dreaming. There's ways for every family maybe to have some sort of pet. Celebrations. Birthdays are fun, but some families make more of a fuss about them than others. And then there's Christmas, Diwali, Eid, Hanukkah, weddings, christenings, Kwanzaa, bar and bat mitzvahs, Chinese New Year. Well, you know, whenever you celebrate in your family, there are usually some special traditions. The same hobby. In others, everyone likes doing different things. Feelings. In some families, everyone shares their feelings. Other people are more shy, or perhaps they just like to keep their feelings to themselves. Sometimes not everyone in the family feels the same way about things, and feelings can change quickly. Have you ever tried to make a family tree? Sometimes you don't have to go back far to find bits of family who've come from other countries. Or if your mom and dad lives with a new partner, you might have to make a whole new set of branches. And then they show them making a family tree. Some families can be big, small, happy, sad, rich, poor, loud, quiet, mad, good-tempered, worried, or happy-go-lucky. But most families are all of these things some of the time. What's yours like today? And that's the entire book. Isn't that a great book? I recommend it to you. If you haven't got it in your library, go find it. Come to labor partners, and the first one we have is
Miss me. I knew you did. You know what? Building connections, inspiring lives. I even wore my new. We always got some kind of a new phrase, right? This is an old one. But then, you know, the last time I was here for Classified School Employee Week, I made a suggestion, Superintendent, that you buy a cup of coffee and a donut for our people here in the building. I did, didn't I? Well, little did I know that you would take my suggestion and you would up the ante. I don't know how many of you know here what he did. And he served everybody who came down here in the building who were classified members, and he serves them LAUSD coffee cake and a cup of coffee. There was a lineup. Let's give him, come on. Take a bow. You did it. I got pictures from people in the building. There was a lineup all the way up the stairs, all the way around. I heard you were back there. Yeah, you were out there serving coffee, and you were out there serving coffee cake and coffee. And there was a lineup to the elevators, and hundreds of classified employees waited for an opportunity to be served a bit of appreciation, just to suggest that you might listen to something that has become the bane of mine or our existence. And Mr. Melbourne, you're gonna have to put up with this. Flexibility in the budget. Last year, when I was busy trying to keep the doctors from killing me, I didn't notice what was in the budget development. But yet this year, it reared its ugly head. Historical knowledge can be good or bad depending on where you sit. CSEA has watched as the number of positions on the flexibility list has fluctuated since 2008, when the list was first created, to what it is now. Now, on page 6, it states, 6-hour library aides will be allocated in 13027. And then in smaller print, it says, fully flexible with the COSA's approval. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Didn't we just allocate $25 million for new books, computers, and scanners? Well, who's going to be then there to order, to facilitate, and take care of all this? That didn't make any sense. That's a contradiction in terms, kind of like Army intelligence, isn't it? Now, library, then on page 7, it says library positions in program 13027 that were reduced to 3 hours in 22-23 will be reinstated back to 6 hours in 23-24, like the weatherman does that thing where he goes and moves everything around. Why is it that after all these years and all of my coming down here and fighting and fighting and fighting, only position in the budget that is fully flexible? Why? Not one person from down in budget can tell me. Why? I mean, it does not make any sense. Why is it that people who continuously go into the libraries after elongated closures and are expected to perform miracles like Harry Potter or Tinkerbell, and expected to shovel out the rat and vermin droppings, dust that only a backhoe could move with a hazmat suit on, and boxes on boxes of built-up junk that everyone has dumped there only to have no security in the next year because the principal likes the room so much now? Unless there are students on campus. Did any of you know that? Are you clear on that? That's what the Ed Code says. And yet, you're saying that it's fully flexible and you can just push it aside and dump the position. Oh, but you can bring it back next year. Well, who's watching? Who's watching the hen house? Fox. Did any of you even wonder why in 21-22 there were 150 empty positions in library aides? We did better this past year. There were only 109. But a lot of those are leaving because there's no security. They keep asking me, I know, you want me to speed it up. Well, the majority of the people, and one of the people who was on this board was asked by Connie Moreno why our union was taking the largest number of hits. And she says, oh, well, somebody's got to take the hit. Might as well be CSEA. We have never recovered from that. And the majority of office techs that were in those schools, all of the schools, were cut in half, more than half. They are doing the work of more people. And yet, you're sitting there putting them on this flexibility list as well. This is cruelty. This is not being a partner. And lastly, I know you have the budget is next week. I cannot come down here. I have too much work to do. The library refresh money. I know this isn't a CSEA issue, but I know that the schools had since late January 2022 to spend the money. And Mr. Atienza, I don't know if you're listening, there were a lot of problems with getting this money spent correctly. There were supply chain issues with our vendors. There was no training whatsoever for our library aides or for the schools except what I personally set up. That's going to be swept back up. You guys don't need the money in the budget. You do not need to sweep it back in. Find a way to do a Hail Mary pass and leave it with the schools at least until October. Give them that money. One of the schools, not more than 2 blocks from here, has $113,000 that has not been spent for whatever reason. They need those books. The school is got a lot of poor kids in it. I am begging you to do a Hail Mary pass for that school and for the rest of the schools that have not been able to get their act together, and let them finish spending that money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we will hear from Gloria.
Happy Pride Month, everybody. So I am here and I will be reading because there was a lot of heart that was put into the statement we're about to make on behalf of our 35,000 members, the students we serve, and the communities we work in. So we're proud to stand in solidarity with Pride and residents with our members of the LGBTQ plus community. This Pride Month and all throughout the year. We are standing shoulder to shoulder with our LGBTQ plus siblings because not only is it the right thing to do, but because as a social justice union, it is our foundation. We have queer trans members. We teach queer trans students. We have queer trans family members, and we are allies and we are accomplices. The fight to ensure the safety and the well-being of our LGBTQ plus community cannot be separated of who we are. An injury to one of our LGBTQ plus siblings is an injury to all of us. This is an especially dangerous time to be queer and or trans in this country. While we might pride ourselves on our diversity and progressive politics in this city, our city is not immune from the horrible displays of homophobia, transphobia, and hatred. In the face of rising fascism, our schools must be sanctuaries for educators, students, parents, and community members. No educator, regardless of their sexual orientation, their gender or gender presentation, should have to live in fear of who they are. No student should have to fear for their physical, emotional health at school just because they are trans or gay. No student should be told that their family is inappropriate or should not be discussed openly because they have queer or trans parents. Our public schools are places where the world becomes bigger and are celebrated for it. It is where educators instill compassion and tolerance in their students, and where the community comes together on even ground. We must fight to protect that. We must fight to protect academic freedom so educators and students can learn about our complicated world and can open their eyes and their hearts. We must fight to ensure that every single member of the LGBT plus community feels safe, cherished, and loved within our schools. So, to all our organizers, all our leaders, and organizations doing this work, please know that UTLA is ready to work with you and alongside with you. We want to build power and defense of our LGBT plus community. To the leaders of the district and civic leaders across the city, we are here to prepare to be partners and work together to ensure the safety and well-being of our members, of our students, and all the people that call Los Angeles their home. Say that the mental well-being of our students is important. So I just want to share with you a little bit about what our PSWs are currently facing. And I also want to address the reassignments within our school mental health. First, none of the 75 reallocated positions work out of this building. They don't work out of Beaudry. In fact, our mental health consultants are under school-based programs, and they are each assigned to 10 or more schools that they need to support. Without the CCNS, there is no plan for the clinical supervision of the 264 PSWs who are still earning their licensure. How is LAUSD going to recruit more PSWs without providing the supervision that is necessary? If the so-called, by the way, some of you called it a form letter, but if the so-called form letter that some of you have received via email, I want to let you know that it is incorrect to call it as much. In fact, what our PSWs shared are personal experiences and narratives shared by PSWs and other stakeholders warning about the impact of these dangerous changes. This is a liability. This will harm our students. This will make it difficult for the district to recruit PSWs. This is not the solution, and this is a recipe for disaster. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And that was nice to hear from. So we'll see where things go next semester, but we have wrapped up our innovation committee this year. Thanks for the opportunity, Ms. Goldberg.
Thank you. Next we will hear from...
Last Tuesday, the Facilities and Procurement Committee had our second and final meeting of the year. We heard an overview from Ms. Stengel on the role of the Inspector General's office, and she reviewed a recent report regarding the district's cost estimators, including her recommendations to streamline 2 different units. We then discussed and reached consensus as a committee on a few recommendations about facilities that came up during our first meeting. I've shared those with the superintendent and Ms. Goldberg, and they include 1, reviewing and revising project phasing policies to identify ways to speed up projects, including consideration of temporary student relocation and use of previously checked or PC structures. 2, reviewing and revising practices and policies that impact construction costs, which might include purchasing items off of California multiple award schedules, the CMAS, utilizing separate state and federal buying contracts to facilitate expediting projects and certainty on contract price, utilizing owner-purchased, contractor-installed whenever practical, and advocating to increase the minimum dollar threshold for a DSA, or Division of State Architect, review of a project. 3, reviewing current and possible revenue options that can be utilized for facilities, e.g. state and local grants or developer fees. And finally, determining how to increase the funding allocation above the statutorily required 3% for maintenance and operations. Those are the 4 recommendations the committee made, and we expect to hear back on those items from the superintendent and his team at a committee meeting in the fall. We also heard last week from the procurement office, which provided an overview of the procurement process. I do recommend everyone review the slide deck that was prepared for that. It explains concepts you hear at our board meetings like best value, lowest bid, informally competed, etc. Ms. Reese also did a deeper dive on best value procurement, one of those procurement mechanisms, and on upcoming changes to procurement that promise to reduce costs to schools, take work off of principals' plates, and provide better products to students. So we look forward to hearing updates on these processes and on other topics when we reconvene in the fall. Thank you.
And our May 25th meeting was the gift of my multilingualism, dual language and world language program. What the committee learned is that there are over 97 languages besides English spoken in LAUSD. We offered world language courses in 13 different languages and dual language programs in 7 languages. There will be 230 dual language programs in LAUSD in the 23-24 school year. Languages including Arabic, Armenian, French, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, and Spanish, but Russian is going to be added in the school year 25-26. Dual language students receive recognition along the path of multilingual journey, promise of bilingualism. Universal TK gets that, and kindergarten gets that. Elementary pathways to biliteracy is awarded in grades 5 or 6. Middle school pathway to biliteracy in grade 8. And then the LAUSD and California Department of Education Seal of Biliteracy, Seal of Excellence. It is the first LAUSD program to be recognized with this prestigious award for exemplary dual language and emergent bilingual programs. Various schools performed spoken word, musical, and dance. It was quite an excellent meeting. And I thank my colleague Ortiz Franklin for co-chairing that meeting because my granddaughter was giving her final presentation at her elementary school and I had to leave early. Okay, so our final meeting of the year, June 15th, was canceled because of the 4 board meetings that we're going to have every week. We figured people would probably be busy enough taking care of what has to be done before June 30th. All right, that takes care of that. Next, so personally, but I understand. However, I want to say that these folks at your you're about to meet, if you don't know them already, are really stars and heroes themselves. And so I'm going to turn this over to our superintendent so that we can recognize some wonderful people who are retiring. And after that, we will go to the consent calendar.
Thank you, Jackie. Before we go to the consent calendar, I want to announce the last family and right here.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I didn't have that on
No
my
problem.
agenda.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Indeed, it is both a happy day for those who are beginning yet again a fantastic journey, for we recognize the talent, the time, and the treasure that they brought not only to our community of learners, but to all of Los Angeles Unified. What I will do is I will actually briefly introduce each one of the retirees, and as I'm speaking about you, please come to the front, and then we will bring the celebratory toys and trinkets that you will leave here with today. You know, you will leave with a piece of paper recognizing the great work with beautiful words signed by our board president, our board members, and myself, and obviously you will leave with something that anytime you have the urge to celebrate LAUSD, you may pull on it and make as much noise as you wish. Esther has been with our district for over 30 years. She began in 1993 as an English teacher. She is our esteemed linked learning administrator as well as career and technical education. Esther, thank you so much for the remarkable work you've done.
Thank you.
After 30 years, you can use more than 30 words.
Thank you very much. So it has been an honor and a privilege to teach and work with the students of LAUSD. They're pretty spectacular. To also work with teachers and administrators in LAUSD, to work with the team that I got to work with in CTE and Link Learning, to work with DOI and our leader, Fran. Dr. Baez has been amazing, and it's just been a really great time, and I have a quick David Duchovsky. I'm going to live in LA, and I promise not to be a David Duchovsky continually, but a moment of David Duchovsky. And that is, I'd like to advocate for our CTE teachers to become credentialed in the same kind of way our teachers who are single subject. And I would also like to advocate, we are preparing our students for college and career. I'd love to see that career part. I'd love to see our students in the past, they had a requirement to take a CTE class. We should be looking at that and preparing our students for careers. So thank you very much, and we'll see you.
Next, Karen Ryback. Karen began with LAUSD in 1982 as a bilingual classroom teacher at Heliotrope Avenue Elementary School. So after 41 years, Karen is leaving us. You know her more recently as the Executive Director of Federal and State Education Programs. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I've enjoyed every day that I've worked here, and my only regret is not to see this through to your strategic plan, but know that I will be cheering from the sidelines for sure. So, thank you.
Whose heart certainly competes with her mind in every decision that she has to make when it comes to kids in our school system, particularly the most vulnerable. Of course, I'm speaking about Pia Escudero. When I arrived in LAUSD on a field trip with board member Schmerlson, and she is dedicated, as I said, her passion and compassion are unmatched. She's leaving us as the Executive Director of the Division of Student Health and Human Services, and in a very noble and able way, she served our district for 32 years. Pia.
My colleague Ileana said she's not speaking, but I'm going to speak also for a Cuban never likes that. This is family. I truly love so many of you here in the SHU, behind me, in the schools. I have met many of you board members and leaders in good times and in really difficult times. I cannot tell you how much it's in my DNA, that passion and the heart, because our children are the future, and I know that we're all here for a purpose. I'm so proud of my legacy. Eliana and I were at Florence Avenue Elementary, I believe early 19, well, it was during the civil unrest. She was a kindergarten teacher, best dressed teacher, and I was a PSW. And we survived a very difficult moment for our community. But one of the proudest things I'm walking away with is how SHHS, every individual that works for us, has not stopped 24/7 to serve and meet the needs of our children, and has become an integral part of the educational team. When I started in school mental health and SHHS, people didn't know what a PSW was. They didn't know what school mental health or behavior health, and now we are part of whatever success is in the classroom. It's because our staff are there to lift and protect children. So I thank you. I give you a tremendous grace for the work that you do, and I will continue to be a pushy angel from outside. I'm going to be pushing and supporting you and making sure we lift our children and our families who often get forgotten in the political system. So thank you.
M&O technical unit. She held a number of other positions, including senior contract administration manager, deputy director of facilities, director of procurement. She's leaving us as the chief procurement officer. Of course, I'm speaking of none other than Judith Reese.
Thank you. I have enjoyed working with everybody. It's been a great journey, and I appreciate all the support that I've had from all the divisions, from the board, from the superintendent's office. It's been a good journey. Thank you. And I'm going out to play.
To LAUSD. I cannot think of someone across the country who built more in the space of education than Mark Hovatter. He came to us as a senior resident construction engineer. He was the director of facilities planning and development. He was the director of facilities maintenance and operations. He's leaving us as our chief facilities executive, a position that he's been in over the past 11 years. I have to say that I almost begged, since I started as superintendent, it was one of the very first conversations, and Mark told me he was retiring. And I didn't take it personally, but I did beg him to stay a little longer. And then he stayed a little longer yet. But his dedication to family, to his kids, is strong. We appreciate you, Mark. I heard right before this meeting started that now that he's retiring, he'll stop giving himself haircuts. Mark, our Chief Facilities Executive, thank you.
Thank you. You know, we've all heard that if you can do what you love, you never have to work a day in your life. Those jobs are kind of hard to find. It's kind of hard to find a job where you love every single thing about your job. And this may be a surprise, but there's some things I didn't like about this job. Explaining to the parents who just raised $10,000 they can't build that $100,000 shade structure. I don't like committees. I don't like board meetings. But I tried to take the approach of don't do what you love, but love what you do. And that's my whole attitude, and that sums me up. I love every part of this job, even the things I hate. and hopefully it's reflected and it's rubbed off, and I'm the luckiest man in the world because I've got the best job in the world. No one could have a better job. Thank you for letting me be part of it.
Who could really be like family. You know, I met her when I arrived, but she always has a snarky remark, a criticism. She has natural debonair, natural intellect, and is as ethical as the day is long, and never sugarcoats anything. And I put a big challenge ahead of her when I arrived. I said, you know, I want every single classroom in LAUSD, however we get there, staff with a credentialed teacher. Let's worry about everything else after that. Let's at least deliver that. She did it. And then she did more than that. She led an absolute renaissance of recruiting and hiring into LAUSD with over 2,300 teachers hired just over the past year, putting us in a position where we will open next year with every single classroom staffed with a certificated professional. This is someone who's retiring after 34 years in a district. She was an elementary school teacher. She was a school site coordinator, an assistant principal, an instructional director, a principal, Chief Human Resources Officer, Ileana Davalos.
Thank you. I do want to be remembered as someone that does sugarcoat messages. Come on now. So thank you. It's been an incredible journey. Sorry. I have sat in many seats, so it was interesting that I ended up in HR. I came to this country when I was 5. I didn't speak English, and I learned to speak English here. So thank you for that, Los Angeles Unified School District, and thank you for allowing me to serve students, staffs, and families. And yes, boss, you gave me a very hard time. I think the last things were Cuban. Now there's a first time for everything.
Madam President and members of the board, on behalf of a caring community of educators, the entire LAUSD community, Esther, Karen, Pia, Judith, Mark, and Ileana, a grateful heart, elated over your accomplishment, but for the legacy you built and leave behind. Thank you. Muchas gracias. The rest of the meeting's not going to be so nice.